Okay, I'm going to go through the scenario manager real quick. I'm assuming that everything in the amortization schedule is good. So if you just, what we're trying to do is figure out if we have a different rate, a different loan amount, what's our best and worst case scenario on what the payments are going to be. So we go to scenario manager. We're going to add the best case, and we're changing the rate. So I'm gonna name it. So there you go. So the rate is what we're changing, right? And the best case scenario is we're having a rate of 2.8. So 0.028 is how you do a percentage. 2.8% is 0.028. So then, let me go back and edit that, because we also want to change the rate and the loan amount. So we're going to change the rate to 0.028, the loan amount. At that rate, it says it will be 450,000, I believe. And then we'll do a worst case scenario. Same thing, changing the rate and the loan amount. It would be 0.032, and the loan would be 400,000. If I got these numbers wrong, I think, yeah, that's right, 400,000 for 0.032. I was gonna say if they're wrong, then in other words, if I'm trying to do it real quick, so if I put the wrong number in here, you could just put the number that the book says. So then you go okay. So we have a best case and a worst case. Now we just do a summary. So what do we want to see? We want to see the payment in the best case scenario. We want to see the total payment, and we want to see the total interest. So notice how I use the cell names rather than the cell locations. You can use the cell locations instead, but we're using cell names as part of an understanding of learning what cell names are about. So when you click OK, it should take you to the best case and worst case scenario. If it's 3% at 425, best case is 2.8% at 450, worst case is 3.2% at 400,000. Here would be your payment. Here would be all the payments you would get. Here would be your total interest. Perhaps the problem could be with your naming. So there's a whole part in the chapter about naming, and if you look in let's see, is it formulas? Yeah. So if you look at name manager, all these things were named. If they're not, then you need to name them. So that could be your error. So for example, if you wanted to add a new name for something, so if you go to bonds, if you wanted to add a new name for an area, you go to name. You could define names. If you follow the text that tells you different ways you can do it, but one quick way is to do a new name. Let's call it bond term, and then refers to this cell, right? So that would be the bond term, and then now you have, and if you have comments or whatever, but because the name has to be connected. So if you want to name a bond term, you have to put an underscore there, and then now you have a bond term. So from now on, all I got to do is use the word bond underscore term instead of using the cell, and it knows what I'm talking about. That could be an error that you're having. I'm not really sure, but just walking you through, that's what's going on with this assignment.